most jobs, we spend the largest amount of time performing the mowing operations. The second most time-consuming service we provide is pruning the shrubs and trees. Many companies are good mow and bow companies. Pruning is either done improperly or is not done at all. We need to prune our shrubs and trees properly so that they are healthy for the long term and reach their ultimate landscape potential. This requires regular and proper maintenance and may include shearing, thinning, topping, renovating, fertilization, and pest control. There are different ways to prune shrubs. We may shear with hedge trimmers, tip prune with hand pruners, cut back with loppers, or renovate with chainsaws. We may top, thin, renovate, or create a topiary or a pom-pom. The shape of shrubs is usually determined by the area where the shrub is planted and its growth habits. A tall ligustrum tree planted as an entrance feature may simply need to be shaped with hand pruners or loppers from time to time to keep it in shape and leaving it look natural. It may need the dead wood thinned from the inside or have the canopy raised around sidewalks or roadways. Some projects require that they be sheared into pom-poms. When we do shape a ligustrum tree or any other type of tree or large shrub, we need to raise it at least 7 feet above sidewalks so that people can walk under it without encountering any obstruction. They should be limbed up or taken back away from roadways so that vehicles cannot hit the branches and cause damage to the tree or to the vehicles. The inside should be cleaned out of any dead wood or crossing branches that may affect the long-term health of the tree. In some areas, we are required to shear these tree-formed shrubs into pom-poms. Even with this type of pruning, we should keep lower limbs raised and dead wood out of the center. Always try to prune back to a branch, node, or bud when possible so that your new cut does not produce dead wood and future work. In most new projects, there is a requirement to plant a hedge line around the parking lots. These are usually meant to buffer the view of cars from the roadway. Again, the area where the hedges are planted and the customer's desires will depend on the height and shape of the shrubs. Generally, we shear most shrubs around parking lots to around 30 inches from the top of the curb. The hedges are sheared at an angle that is considerably less than 90 degrees and should slope up from the curb line to the top of the hedge. We prefer to round them off on top as opposed to flat topping them, before taking them down to the same angle on the other side. The lower leaves on the shrubs need to be exposed to sunlight so that they won't drop off and leave the hedge bare on the bottom. In some areas, such as around utility boxes or other obstructions, we may be required to let the hedges grow much higher and may be able to shear only one side. It is good to keep the shrubs sheared at least 2 feet from buildings, windows, walls, or fences so that airflow can circulate behind the shrubs and window cleaning and sealing or painters can get behind the shrubs without causing damage to our plant material while providing their services. There are times when we may need to renovate a hedge. It may be old and hard or have thinned or dead areas. In larger areas, we may use a chainsaw to cut large shrubs down to within 12 to 18 inches from the ground. Shrubs such as viburnum can benefit from this renovation and will come out looking fresh and new after their recovery. Ornamental grasses such as pampas grass should be taken down to the ground with a blade or head shears at least twice a year to renovate these plants. Cut these and other grasses completely to the ground to let the new growth generate. We don't leave these grasses with the chimney stack look that tends to build up over time and leave a brown clump in the middle of the plant. Remember that our goal is to prune for the long term, and all our plants should constantly look like they are fresh and healthy. Trees should be limbed up and pruned in the fall or winter season and after the growth is slowed. It needs to be late enough in the fall so that new growth does not generate from the trees due to our pruning, and this time may vary from species to species. When pruning trees, we follow ISA standards for either maintenance or Class 1 pruning. We should limit cuts back to the main trunk to as few as possible, as these cuts only seal, they never heal, and a bad cut could provide an inlet for disease or a weak spot that may cause a problem for the tree as it ages. If a larger branch is interfering with pedestrian or vehicular traffic, first try removing portions of the branch to see if it will raise up on its own. We can also prune to lessen the importance of a branch by cutting it back so that other branches will fill in. We should also constantly raise the canopies of trees throughout the growing season, as the weight of the new growth causes the limbs to hang down. Tip pruning can be done with loppers or even long-handled hedge shears. Of course, any debris generated by the pruning operations should be cleaned up as soon as possible. The pattern that you set up to prune and clean up is important. Our customers like to see us start in one area with our pruning and work in an organized pattern throughout a project. Plan ahead so that you have the needed equipment such as dump trailers or a chipper there when you need it so that the operation moves along in an orderly and efficient manner. The cleanup should occur as soon after the pruning is complete as possible. Debris should never be left around the doorways or on sidewalks for any length of time. When one area is complete and cleaned up, then move to the next. There are different intervals to prune certain shrubs and trees. For instance, azaleas should not be pruned after they have set their buds sometime after the summer growing season. If you shear azaleas in the fall, you may affect the spring bloom. Crepe myrtles should be cut after their first bloom starts to fade to promote a second bloom. Our policy is not to renovate crepe myrtles in the winter, but to let them grow to their full potential. If they were planted properly and in the right place, they will grow naturally and bloom prolifically. Salome philodendron should be kept within its boundaries by removing whole stalks. We need to regularly remove yellow fronds, but we don't want to keep popping off fronds to create the tree look. While you're in the bushes cleaning up the cuttings, any large weeds should be pulled and any other debris that may be hidden from general view should be disposed of. The tops of hedges and the mulched areas below should be blown off or raked to get all the cut leaves off the brush or ground so that we don't see brown leaves as they dry out and die. An area is not complete until it looks good in the customer's eyes, and they are going to see it every day. Pruning with hedge shears can be one of the most dangerous services we provide. Most pruning accidents occur due to carelessness or lack of training. When shearing hedges with gas-powered hedge shears, the operator has a tendency to clean the top of the hedge with his hand or letting the heavy hedge shears drop down from fatigue. It is very easy to lose a finger while trying to remove pruned material or snip through your pants into your skin while using these tools. If you feel fatigue setting in, it is time to take a break. Don't become complacent by pruning too long. It is a good idea to wear gloves while using hedge shears as an added protection for your fingers and hands. Ear protection is also required since these machines are extremely loud. Proper pruning techniques will help assure healthy, vigorous plants and a lasting landscape beauty.